Morning, friends. It is so good to be up here and see so many familiar faces and a few unfamiliar faces. So, hello and welcome to our service. We are the Rogue Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, commonly referred to as RVUUF, in Ashland, Oregon. My name is Marcia, and I'm a part of RVUUF because this organization nourishes me in so many ways. I haven't been here in a while, physically in this building, but I have felt the loss of not being here, and it feels really good to be back. So welcome. We are so happy to welcome you to our service, both online and in person. We especially want to thank the members of the stream team who are helping make the online service happen, and the members of the neighborhood team who welcome the on-site congregation. If you are a newcomer, we invite you to sign up for our mailing list on roof.org. You will receive a weekly email that gives you all the information that you need to make your decision about whether you'd like to join us on Sunday morning, on-site, or online. You will also learn about other great things going on at RVUUF. We are so glad to have you with us for this service, and we invite you to join us in our mission, embracing diversity, empowering connection, and engaging in the work. We begin each service by acknowledging that our building is built on land that began as the home of the Cow Creek, Umpqua, Takelma, Shasta, and Lagawa people. We remind ourselves that Indigenous people are part of our communities and continue to experience the effects of colonization. We are committed to fighting for the worth and dignity of Indigenous people, both in our community and around the world. These services are a part of that work. Welcome, and thank you for being with us. The first Sunday of each month, we make an offering to the local food pantry. If you have brought any food items today, or if you would like to make a financial gift, please come forward at this time. Thank you for your support for the food pantry. We light our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with words by Bruce Southworth. For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul.
Today we're going to do all music that is in the style of call and response as sort of a wave to what the service topic is today. Call and response music is typical in many cultures, particularly the African American culture. It was critically important to enslaved people in the United States. It was a way of maintaining communication with everyone and also a sense of community. So today we will use no hymnals. Please rise as you're comfortable, and we will do We Give Thanks. When I motion to you, that's your turn. Oh, we give thanks, oh, we give thanks for this blessed day, for those gathered here, and those far away, for this time we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this special day. Let's pick it up. Oh, we give thanks. Oh, we give thanks for this special day. For those gathered here and far away. For this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this special day. Very nice. Wonderful. Once I woke up.
Good morning. Is there someone from the anti-racism team that would like to come forward and light the candle? Okay. Thank you. It has become our practice to light a candle each week for peace. We take this moment to call to mind our commitment to peace of mind, peace in our homes, peace in our communities, and peace in the world. Today's words are from Martin Luther King Jr. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied to a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There are some things in our social system to which all of us ought to be maladjusted. Hatred and bitterness can never cure the disease of fear. Only love can do that. We must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. Before it is too late, we must narrow the gaping chasm between our proclamations of peace and our lowly deeds which precipitate and perpetuate war. One day we must come to see that peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. We shall hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
Please take a moment to relax and close your eyes and join in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, memory of our mothers, fathers, and ancestors, be with us here and now. Recognize the love in our hearts and help us show that love to the world. Celebrate our connectedness and show us the irresistible liberation that the world calls us to share. Amen and blessed be.
Today's reading is by Rachel Jacoby Zoldan. Soul searching, or the idea of nourishing your soul, is an important exercise every person can partake in. Simply put, it's the desire to look more deeply for meaning in your life. If you don't know where to start or exactly what to do, try following these recommended tips to nourish your soul and find that deeper meaning in your everyday existence. Spend some time alone. Taking a moment to put yourself first is not selfish. It actually allows you to replenish and be present in the moment for others. Try touring a local attraction, going for a stroll in the park, or sitting down with your journal to really give yourself some me time to recognize what you're missing. Then, connect with new people. While technology and social media have connected us to family, friends, and celebrities, we still crave that human connection. Being kind or friendly to a stranger will make you feel good inside and help you get back in sync with yourself by seeing yourself reflected through someone else's eyes. But also, disconnect with social media. Equally important to the soul-nourishing equation is to spend time away from your besties, at least digitally speaking. Be present in the here and now, ignore social media, log out of your apps, and turn off your notifications for at least an hour a day. We know you've heard this one before, but it can't be overstated how helpful this step can be. Partake in a spiritual practice. Keep in mind that the word spiritual is not necessarily equated with any kind of religious practice, but rather one that's from within. Try meditation in your soul-searching journey. It changes the brain, nervous system, and mood. Try a new hobby. Maybe meditation falls into this one, but it could be anything, really. Try your hand at painting, writing, or even just power walking. Do what brings you joy. Creative endeavors, particularly encouraged. Any activity that puts you in the state of flow, where you lose track of time and space and get lost in your bliss, will nourish you.
Speaking of nourishing, that's one of the things that music does for all of us. This song is actually traditional. It's from Ghana, and it only really has 3 words. The first word, aramile, is Swahili, and it's pronounced aramile with it's A-R-A, well, it's in your order of service, A-R-A-M-I-L-E. But the R is not an American R, it's flipped. So it's aramile. You say, aramile. The second and third words are o ya. So o ya ya. O ya ya. There you go, that's the whole song. So aramile means I am well. And as you might figure out, o ya ya just confirms that. So it's like, I'm really well. So aramile o ya ya. That's the whole song. Aramile o ya ya. It starts out with a call, I call, and then you are going to respond with the second half of the call, and then you're going to sing aramile, 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 o ya ya. And every time it's 3 aramiles, and then o ya ya. It starts out on a root, the bottom note, And then you can go above a third if you like, or you can go a fifth above if you like, and I'll show you how to do that. So it starts out with me calling like this. Aramile. And then the end is Aramile. And that's you. So Aramile. Aramile. And then it goes on with Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Keep going. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Good. So then you can sing that's the root, or you can go a third higher. So you're on Aramile, Aramile, Aramile. You could go Aramile, Aramile, or the fifth, Aramile, Aramile. So try that. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Good, so you can pick any one of those pitches as we get started. And the very end of the song, I call again, Aramile, and you sing with me again, Aramile. But at the end, you go like, Ara. So I'll sing, Aramile, Aramile. And that's it. Okay, here we go. Ready? Ara. I change the pitch. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. 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 Aramile, 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 oh yeah. Are you feeling well yet? Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, Aramile.
Let your light so shine among men that they will see your good works and glorify thy Father in heaven. Or this same phrase from the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16, in more modern language. Let your light so shine among people that they will see your good works and glorify your mother and your Father in heaven. These words in the chapel, the smell of wood and candles, dust filters the sun through stained glass windows. The words above the door of the chapel in shadows, let your light so shine. Knowing that this is a moment like no other, and waves of gratitude roll over me, feeling a tug in a familiar direction. My senses awaken, red roses blossoming, ministry beckons, a lonesome cry, and joy surfaces from beneath the stones. I walk out of the chapel a new person. Nothing will be the same. The sound of water clearer, the song of birds close, and my hands molded in the shape of prayer. Embodied in the image of God, making my way to a pasture where sky meets earth, and the promise of stars makes me weep. I knew at that moment that the ministry was my path, and that this path would bring meaning and fulfillment in my life. When I lived in New York, I dreamed of following in the footsteps of our interim minister, Reverend Wayne Schutte. He had spent more than 20 years in a UU congregation engaging in social justice work. What could be better, I thought? Wouldn't it be amazing to marry people in the congregation who had also been dedicated in the congregation when they were young? I dreamed of a long career in one community, of a house with a picket fence, a wife, and a new electric car. In the words of Forest Church, such awakenings may happen only once in a lifetime or many times, but when they do, what before you took for granted is presented as a gift, difficult yet precious and good, awakening to the call stirring deep within you, you begin your pilgrimage. The call to a vocation, the strong feeling of suitability for a particular occupation, is something precious. It might pull at your heartstrings, as it did for me. It might arise from hearing inspirational words, reading a passage from a book, or having a mentor show you the path. For some, it is strong and powerful. For some, it is a soft and familiar voice. It might be a call from God or the universe, or from the flowing river in a blossoming garden. No matter the call, one thing is for sure, our path is often a mystery. As soon as I had fulfilled my dream of finding a UU congregation to serve, and after spending a couple years as a hospital chaplain, my health took an unexpected turn and I ended up in prison. I have bipolar disorder, and my moods can vary from severely depressed to manic and psychotic. I ended up in a high-speed chase with several police cars during an episode of mania, and I was convicted of a felony for evading arrest. This was my rock bottom, going from being an aspiring minister to a lost and sad soul in solitary confinement. How did this happen? How did my call to ministry waver when I was on the verge of fulfilling a lifetime dream? I left the ministry after my time in prison, and yet I did not leave my call. I was still certain about my desire to help people and to serve. I became an advocate for people with mental illness and the friends and family who love them. I worked with people who not only have a mental illness, but who also have a strong addiction to drugs and or alcohol. I was a peer, an advocate, and an inspiration to others. I had hit my rock bottom only to rise and become a light to others. I let my experience speak to others and help people find their own paths to recovery. Ministry looks different for everyone. For me, I had found a path to use my lived experiences to help others. My call had not changed, only the means to express it. I moved to Southern Oregon to be near my family. I spent several years near my parents before they passed away. It was hard to lose the two people, my mom and dad, who had been such a major support for me in my good times as well as the difficult times. The process had the experience of joy, Claire. Finally, I had the career and the home, the wife, and a new car. It was not an electric car as I had dreamed about, but a good car all the same. With the confidence that a good relationship brings, I started reliving my call to the ministry. I was able to get a job as an on-call chaplain at a local hospital. On my first night on call as a chaplain, I was called in the middle of the night to respond to a crisis with a patient. It was called a code blue. The patient's heart and breathing had stopped, and the staff worked energetically to keep him alive. The patient's wife was distraught, and I was able to bring her support and to lead a prayer for health and comfort. The patient remained stable and unresponsive, and because he had been without oxygen for almost an hour, it was likely that his brain was no longer working properly. A day after the crisis, the patient's wife began to settle on the idea that her husband was not going to regain consciousness. She set up 2 tables with candles and photos of their family. Friends and family visited, and they quietly took the patient from life support, and the patient died peacefully. I was there through the process, providing a calm and compassionate presence. My light shone radiantly and softly through the process of death and grief. In the words of Tagore, "Peace, my heart, let the time for the parting be sweet. Let it not be a death, but completeness." In another instance in the hospital, I came to see a patient, Raymond, who was just put on comfort care. His son and daughter were there. I brought Raymond a comfort quilt, a colorful blanket that we give to patients who are dying in the hospital. Raymond's children were grieving, and we said a prayer together. I left space in the middle of the prayer for Raymond's children to speak. In the prayer, we prayed for peace and strength, for courage and for comfort. After the prayer, Raymond's blood pressure, which had been decreasing, started to grow upwards. His vitals all of a sudden seemed better. Raymond's daughter asked that he be returned to treatment care, since he was now showing signs of getting better. The nurse consulted with the doctor, and they agreed to return Raymond to treatment care. A couple of days later, I returned to see Raymond, and he was awake, alert, and he was talkative. His children were grateful for the prayer we shared the other night, because it seemed to be a turning point in Raymond's health and his ability to return to treatment. He was no longer dying, but alive and healing. Now today, I do not underestimate the power of prayer and of compassionate listening to work wonders. In the words of Holly Bruno, every second chance I have witnessed or experienced is a momentary miracle. When talking of my call, I feel compelled to respond to my privilege. We live in a racist, white supremacy culture, and as a white heterosexual male, I have benefited from this culture. I was chosen as the presidential scholar, and my tuition was paid in full when I entered seminary. I wondered who the students were who did not have access to this scholarship. I met another student at seminary, Reverend Karen Hutt, who at the time was a co-minister of the Church of the Open Door, an all-African American congregation serving the LGBTQ+ community in Chicago. She invited some of the students from our seminary to visit the church. And while I was there, she told me, "Daniel, I hope that you have great success ministering to your white congregations, while at the same time, I will be ministering here to my Black community." Although surprised that we were not both working towards a multicultural congregation, I also could understand the power of Karen's self-segregation. I have had hardships that many people don't face, including mental illness and the conviction of a felony. These do not negate my status as a white heterosexual male with privilege. As a white male, I have had doors open to me and opportunities that may have been closed to others. I have been able to respond to my call. How many people face cultural barriers and racism that interfere with achieving their dreams? I do my best to recognize my privilege and to interrupt the barriers that the culture imposes. When I applied for some full-time chaplain positions recently, I was not selected for the work. Although sad that I did not get the positions that were open, I was happy that the hospital had diversity in mind and hired an Arab American chaplain and a white woman chaplain. I realized that I need to be open to the fact that breaking down the barriers of racism means learning to accept my privilege and realize that my privilege needs to be challenged if we are to create the beloved community we aspire to be. A couple of months later, another position opened up at the hospital, and this time I was hired. So I am able to work a 0.7 position at the hospital. The call for some is a congregation to serve. For others, it is working in administration to help support ministers. For some, it is working for social justice. For some, it is being a mentor. For some, it is gardening. For others, bird watching. Some, it is traveling. For some, it is art, music, photography, painting, and writing. For me, it is becoming a chaplain again. For me, it is working with people with substance use disorder and mental illness. I found a way for my light to shine in community with others, listening, reflecting, showing compassion, kindness, and responding. You are not alone. We may not be able to predict where our life path is going, yet we can listen to the call that beckons us to be the person we aspire to be: the teacher, the administrator, the politician, the social worker, the custodian, the parish minister, the community minister, and the human being finding direction in life's journey. It's a remembrance of the words in the chapel: "Let your light so shine that others may see your good works." Are you listening for a call? Have you felt something deep inside you only to let it go? Are you able to find it again? Are you feeling the tug on your heart to do something unexpected? Listen and hear the voice inside you, and respond in a way that feels natural and good. The call is not for a chosen few, but for everyone. Each week we take an offering to support the mission and the work of our congregation. Since the pandemic, your generosity has been nearly the only source of financial support for the programs, services, outreach, and staffing of our congregation. Your giving is immediately put to work, putting our principles into action in our community and beyond. If you are joining us online, you can mail your gift to 87 4th Street, Ashland, Oregon, 97520. If you need support in any way, please contact Reverend Sean using the form on roof.org. Reverend Sean will be back in the area next week, and he will be leading the service next week. We will do our best to help. For these gifts you are about to provide, and all of the gifts that you bring to our community and to the world, thank you. Thank you for all of your gifts.
We're going to take just a minute so Bill can get organized here. So we're not going to use our hymnals on this either. It's this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, da la la la. The second verse, it just repeats itself, you know. The second verse is everywhere I go. So think of yourself here, I'm going to let it, and then everywhere I go is the second verse. And then the third verse is building up a world. So it's from yourself to taking it out and then building up the world. So I'll call it out to you when it's just at the end of each verse, so you'll know what the next words are when it comes. So please rise as you're comfortable. And we're going to sing This Little Light of Mine. Jane's going to start us out. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up the world, building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you.
As you leave the service today, greet a friend, and then greet someone that you haven't met yet. Share something of your dreams and wishes for the future. And when you are home, listen to the wind, listen to the small voice inside of you, and find the movement and voice to respond. Follow your call on the journey that lies before you. Find yourself where you are and where you want to be. Follow your heart and follow your dreams. Amen.